I'm Melissa Muir. Pepetools has been hard at work redesigning and revamping their already best-selling tool, the disc cutter. Let's take a look now and see the new system and how to set it up. When you purchase the premium Pepetools disc cutter, this is the box that you will receive. There are several items that are included in this. You have first your 95A durometer urethane, which is 1/16 of an inch thick. You have your instructions that tell you how to use the machine. We also have a tube of Pepe Lube. Your punches all compact in an oil-soaked paper, as well as the cutter base itself, and finally, the holding base. The holding base is black powder coated with all of the different measurements for each of your punches. The punches included, like I said, are 14 of them. They go from 1/8 inch to 7/8 inch in 1/16 inch increments. And from 7/8 inch to 1 inch, they move up in 1/8 inch increments. The disc cutter kit includes the 95 durometer urethane pad. It's a 6-inch pad, 1/16 of an inch thick. This is going to be used when you are punching your discs through to kind of help absorb the blow from your pieces. We also have the new disc cutter base. This has several innovative features that they've added to this. One is their 3-pin guide system, and that is going to help you with keeping your disc cutter straight as you're coming through. Helps prevent any type of damage that can happen to the punches themselves. Another new feature that is really exciting is a punch clearance system. And what this does is it allows you to punch your disc through, and your punch will come all the way through as well. So you never have to worry about your punches being stuck in your disc cutter anymore. The base indicates or has indicator markings for each of the punch sizes. So you also have a good reference both on the storage base itself and the punch base. There are 14 punches. And what I like to do when I receive my disc cutter is just line everything up into their proper hole to begin with. And that is going to ensure that everything has a good fit, as well as making certain that you know which punch is which. Once I have verified that I have the proper punches and a good fit in each of the disc cutter holes, I can then take and transfer my punches into the base. Now, one of the things that I am going to be doing on this base that I have not done normally on some of my others is I'm going to store my punch with the cutting side up. How do you know which is the cutting side? On these punches, the cutting side is going to have a nice, sharp, polished edge. It also has a 7-degree angle, which will help in shearing your metal cleanly. The striking edge has a dull finish, and the edges have been beveled around the top. If you feel like that's something that you still might get confused on, one tip that I would suggest is that you take some kind of a marker, whether it be nail polish, a Sharpie, and just give yourself a mark so that you know that you're always striking on the striking end and not on the cutting end. The punches come with a slight coat of oil on them that should not be removed. The oil is meant to help inhibit any rust. If you wipe off that oil, be sure to apply another light coat of oil to your punches and to your cutter to help inhibit rust. A good 3-in-1 oil would be something that would be sufficient. You want to avoid something like WD-40 or any of the other corrosive lubricants that can be out there. Another great feature of this tool is that it stores nice and compact. Everything fits together in one small unit. When I'm finally ready to cut out my discs, what I will do is set everything up. I've got my urethane pad here that is going to help absorb the blow from the hammer as I cut through my metal. I'm going to take my base, lay it here, and open it up in preparation to receive my material that I'm going to be cutting. In this case, I have a 20 gauge textured and patinaed sheet of copper that I'm going to be using. I'm going to cut out a 7/8 inch disc, so I'll place this in here. Now, anytime you work with any gauge over 22, so 22, 20, 16, 14, any of that, you want to shim the other side so that when I bring the top of my base down, then I'm going to have it even and perfectly level. So what I've done is just created a little pack of shims with some scrap metal that I had, and I just stamped what gauge they were. So I have 22, 20, 18, and 16. You know, I could also add others if I needed to, but these are my typical gauges that I use in my studio and in my work. So I'm just going to place my shim that matches, in this case, the 20 gauge, on the opposite end, and then I will tighten my punch top down. One of my favorite features on the newly designed base is this low twist knob that allows me to raise and lower the top portion to hold my material securely. I love that it's metal and low profile. I never worry about hitting this with a hammer or my hydraulic press. If I accidentally hit it with the hammer, no harm will be done to it. And when I'm using a hydraulic press, my punches have a high enough clearance, even when they're through, that it still will not come into any contact or interference with that. So that is a great feature here. Now, it is suggested in your instructions that you use a 2-pound mallet. In my studio, I don't have a 2-pound mallet, but I do have a 1-pound mallet, or in this case, a brass hammer. So that is the one that I will be using. To have your most clean and efficient cut, a 1 strike through is your goal. I don't always have that, so sometimes, and you'll probably see here, it'll take about 2 or 3 strikes, and that is fine as well. To get this ready, I've selected my 7/8 inch punch from my holder, and I've got everything lined up in here. I'm going to give my cutting edge just a little bit of a lubricant, similar to what we would do on a drill bit or a saw blade. They've included a tube of Pepetools, and all I'm going to do is just very lightly roll the end or the cutting edges of my punch into there. You don't want to have too much, and over time you may notice that your punch kind of gets gummy and gets stuck in here. If that is ever the case, take a little bit of denatured alcohol and a cotton swab, and you can just clean that up. Once you have done that, just make sure that you apply a light coat of oil to again prevent any rust while it's in storage. Once I'm ready, I'm going to just insert my punch. To do this, I just simply twist this in by adding this little twisting motion as I come in, because I could just insert it into here, but by adding that twisting motion, I ensure that my punch is perfectly aligned inside of the hole, and that is going to make certain that I don't damage my punch by having it off at a slight angle. My goal is to just hit flat on to the striking edge, and again, make certain you have the striking edge. The striking edge is indicated by a darker surface, and the corner here is a little more rounded, whereas the cutting edge is shiny and polished and very sharp and blunt on the back edge. All right, so now I'm just going to take my mallet, or in this case, my brass hammer, make certain my hands are clear of the striking area, and then I'm going to give a couple of good strikes. So you saw in this case, I needed to give 3 strikes. Not everybody has that many. Some people take a little bit more. But again, your goal is to get 1 good strike. To remove my metal, both my metal and my shim, I simply twist this open. And it's easy to know which direction because it is indicated on this handle itself. So I twist this open, and at that point, I am able to lift out both my metal and my shim. To store my disc cutter, simply close it back down, place my punch and the disc cutter back into the holder, and I'm ready to go for the next time. I hope that you've enjoyed the video, and good luck and have fun with your new premium disc cutter by Pepetools.